For this week's review vlog, I'm going to be talking about the 1976 film Carrie. That was directed by Brian De Palma, and Sissy Spacek played Carrie White. Now, Carrie is this girl who has a very religious mother, and her mother tends to think that because Carrie has these special abilities like telekinesis, they don't exactly say what kind of gifts she has, but you can kind of interpret that it's telekinesis. And her mother thinks that Carrie is the devil, since she's this very religious person, and sometimes she locks Carrie in this closet to pray to God, and it's so her mother is kind of crazy. If you wanted to put a label on her, mom's kind of crazy, and thinking that Carrie is some devil child or something like that. So Carrie gets bullied by these kids at school, and they basically set her up at prom. And there's actually two kids who are actually, so they start out sort of being kind of the bullies, and they end up being kind of the good people in the end, and it's Sue and Tommy. Now, Sue kind of thinks that it's a good idea to have Tommy take Carrie to the prom, but Chris and Billy, who are Sue and Tommy's friends, think that it'd be good to, kind of prank or kind of get revenge on Carrie at the prom by dumping pig's blood on her when her and Tommy get up on stage to get crowned for prom king and queen, because they kind of make everyone vote for Carrie to get her up on stage. So everyone in the audience, all the students, you can kind of interpret that some of them know what was going to happen and some of them don't really know, because the girl, Chris, told everyone to vote for Carrie so that she would go up on stage, and then they would dump the pig's blood on her. So when they do that, Carrie gets, her temper. She unleashes her powers and her gifts, I guess. And it locks everyone in the gym and starts, spraying water, which causes electrical sparks, and then it starts a fire, and things start falling, and it ends up killing everybody in the gym because it's a big fire. And Sue and Chris and Billy, actually the ones who dumped the pig's blood on her, got out before that all started. And so Carrie leaves the gym, and she's covered with blood. And by the way, the girl who plays Carrie does very well with the whole creepy bug eye thing, which adds to the horror theme of this movie. And I think without her, the movie would not be as well done, just because of how good she looked during that scene. She was completely straight faced, just bug eyes, just standing there watching everyone run throughout the gym. And after that, she finds Chris and Billy driving away in their car, and she kills them, and then goes back to her house, where her mom starts, just attacking her. She showers, helps her clean up, and just still continues to attack Carrie, thinking that she's the devil and all this stuff. So she takes her anger out on her mother and stabs her with all these knives, and her mother ends up on the wall in the shape of Jesus on the cross. And it's kind of symbolism with the whole religious thing. And then when she realizes what she's done to her mom, the house starts to cave in, which kind of symbolizes, that they're going to hell. And which, I don't know if I'm sure that might be the point that they were trying to get across, not quite sure about that. And it basically just ends with the house completely caving into the ground. And Sue, the only one who survived, who tried to help Carrie in the end, it ends with her having a dream. And in this dream, she was in this very bright white dress, and she's showing up to where the house is with the cross. And she puts flowers on the grave, or the house where the house was covered, and Carrie's hand ends up coming up and grabbing Sue's arm, where Sue wakes up in this dream, which kind of symbolizes, that Sue could be an angelic figure who tried to help Carrie in the end. And basically Carrie was, trying to grab her and bring her back in, but it was a nightmare for Sue. And something very interesting about the gym scene, which was probably one of the best scenes and the most well-known scene from this movie, was just they actually use split screens in the film when Carrie turns all the lights off and then starts locking everyone in. It just shows split screens of her. It would be her face, and it was just completely she was just straight faced watching everyone with these crazy bug eyes. And then the other side of the split screen would be people freaking out, running, trying to get out, or it would just be both sides of the split screen would be people running in different directions, people trying to kick the doors open, or the fire, or someone getting killed. They used a lot of split screens in that one sequence and that one scene. And I thought that that was very interesting because, it kind of just showed what was going on in that exact scene with, because there were so many different things going on, and it just kind of kept like that view of Carrie, because it kind of, when they showed the split screen, it was from her point of view. So it was like, it would show her face, and then the next split screen would have both sides being people freaking out, and it was from her point of view on stage. So I thought that was very interesting and unique, because it showcased, the main character's point of view of what she was doing. And like I said before, she just did really well with the whole like crazy eyes thing. And another really interesting thing was that there was actually a remake of this movie in 2013, which I had seen before I had seen the original Carrie. And this remake, mind you, is not as good as the original at all. They tried to edit her, her gifts, her telekinesis in a different way. There's a lot of like levitating things and like throwing things, and like, when Carrie tries to kill her mom in the end, they changed the storyline a little bit, where Sue comes to the house when Carrie kills her mom, which is kind of different. It's very weird. And then they actually, in the end, they make Sue pregnant. And then as Carrie is dying, as the house is caving in, she tells Sue that she's pregnant, which I just thought was a weird. And after Carrie dies and tells Sue that she's pregnant, Sue has a nightmare that when she's giving birth, it's Carrie's hand like coming out and grabbing her as she's giving birth instead of a baby. It's really weird. And I mean, I guess they're trying to add like a different kind of horror aspect to it with the whole giving birth, maybe like to like the devil's spawn, something like that. It was just a weird twist, and I didn't really like that alternate ending that they put on it, because I liked the original with the whole creepy, going back to the grave and having her hand, come out. And also in the remake, they didn't have the grave or where the cross was with Carrie's name on it. Was just in a regular graveyard in the remake. It wasn't where the house actually was caved in, which I thought was better for the original, because that made it seem like Carrie was actually still in there alive. And there was just too much editing in the remake, too much, it was just too obviously fake in the original, which you would think, it being a remake in 2013, would have better editing and make it look more realistic, but it actually was the opposite. It looked much more realistic in the 70s one, which shocked me a little bit, because I was thinking, I didn't really like the remake when I saw it. That was the first time I had ever seen Carrie. And then when I watched the older one, I thought, this one won't be as good, but I actually was pleasantly surprised, because I thought it was a lot better than the remake. And I just think that the actors did so much better in the original one with acting like, really crazy. And the original girl who played Carrie in the original, Carrie like just did not speak a lot. She was very quiet and, was silent, and just, it was very well done when she kind of lost control and used her gifts. And that was just the only thing that I wanted to add at the end, just because I saw the remake before I saw the original, which I thought was pretty interesting, considering the original was a lot better.